Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks, when or wherever you may be. Uh, Excuse me for wearing my dark glasses, but today I'm not feeling very well in terms of my eyes. So the lighting that I need to use to make these videos, it's a bit too intense for my eyes tonight, this afternoon, and I need some cover. So it's not because I want to. Okay, here's my face. It's because I need to. Now, excuse me. Right. Today we are going to talk about ICE agents. To start with, we are going to talk about ICE agents assassinating people in the streets in the United States, and how that has given a nice picture of what the United States is. Okay. First of all, my knowledge. I have had, due to my job, training that is related to police tactics, that is related to calm down situations, to subdue people. I am also able to subdue people, to control them, to hurt them if it's needed. Okay, but especially I have been trained in due to my job to control a situation and not set it on fire. So, the second thing I'm going to tell you about is this. I don't care who that woman was. I don't care if she was white. I don't care if she was black. I don't care if she was gay. I don't care nothing about it. What I do care is that she was a woman, because a person, be it gay, be it white, be it black, be it Asian, be it whatever it is, that is by definition a person. So, a human life. And every human life deserves the same respect as any other. There is no one that is superior to A, B, and C. This is one of the reasons why I have told you often that even though sometimes I'm tempted uh, to accept it, I don't believe in the death penalty. Okay, I don't think it solves anything. Not to the perpetrator and not to the victim. It solves absolutely nothing. But we will discuss that in another video, because right now it's important that I don't divert too much from the point of my video. So I saw the videos, and I didn't see them from just one perspective. I didn't see it from one sole source of information. I cross-checked the data, and it shows exactly the same thing from different perspectives, from with people commenting in different languages. Okay, but it's absolutely the same thing. So if you are trying to debunk this as AI or fake news or whatever you are trying to say, I would tell you to shut up. Shut up, shut up, stop questioning everything. Because if you are questioning things in these terms, then you are clearly working for someone that tells you to do that. I don't care if you are a volunteer, if you are receiving money, or if you are just stupid enough to believe in that shit. Okay, there are limits to what AI can do, and there are ways technically, and I know a couple of them, to detect when something is AI or not. Okay, but again, not the purpose of this video. To me, the footage that I saw in more than one perspective is legitimate. It happened. That happened. Okay. Now, the legitimacy of the border officers. They had no legitimacy to stop a vehicle. They are border officers. Just like they don't have any legitimacy to enter in your house, enter in your car, ask for your identification. They have absolutely no legitimacy to do that. And whoever says that doesn't know the laws of their own country. If you are an American citizen and you claim that they have the right to do that, then you do not know the laws of your country. You could do what I did, which was to study things, okay, to understand things. Just like I know that Mr. Trump could not do what he did without the approval of Congress, for example. Okay, Congress approves these type of actions that he took in Venezuela. It's not him. But again, a subject for another video. Maybe in this one we'll carry on with this and we will talk a bit about it. Now, let's continue. So, from the start we have this. We have a person that lives in that neighborhood that wants to pass. And what I saw was she stopped because she saw the commotion, trying to see if she could pass or not, and they signaled her to advance. She advanced, and then suddenly at least two officers, two I.C.E. agents, I will call them agents because officer would imply there are police officers and there are not police officers, okay? They are border patrol agents. And suddenly at least two, maybe three, tried to stop the car. And one of them came from the side, the guy that shot her, came from the side of the vehicle. He was filming, apparently because now it is mandatory for them to film their actions, perhaps to find excuses when things like this happen, or they have already used it to justify other situations that happened that people didn't see. Okay? And he comes to the side of the vehicle. Now, it is very hard to someone to be run over by a car if you are on the side of the vehicle. The person has an open window. She is probably telling them, from what I could understand, I'm not very good at reading lips, but she was telling, at least one of the words that I understood was leave. Perhaps he was saying, leave me alone, let me go, or something like that. Okay? Okay, this is my small contribution, okay, and I'm not even entirely sure of it. Okay, there are far more there are experts that can tell you that if it's possible to see or not, but this was the feeling that I got. Okay, he was on the side of the car, meaning this sorry, a bit disorientated. Okay, this was the car. It was going like this, forward, and the police officer was here, parallel. He was not even near the wheel of the vehicle. He was here, and he was talking, and then he just went up to the driver's seat, and he discharged his weapon. I don't know how many times, directly in her face. He could have shot at the tires. He could have threatened her with his weapon. Not justifiable, again, but this is a lot of things they can do. And more than that, he put himself and his co-agents, the ones that were with him, he put himself in danger and endangered them too. That is not procedure, at least in any decent police police maneuver that I have learned. And my uncle was a cop. Just for context, to add another layer of why I understand these types of things. Okay, and I learned a lot with him. And now, so when he was in that position, it's completely a voluntary act on his part to discharge his weapon on that woman. He shot her in the face. He did not fire down, perhaps firing, I don't know, to the glass, or to the seat, or even to her legs. He did not do anything like. He didn't do anything such as that. He did this. Pa pa. At least 2 shots I saw, maybe more, but at least 2 he did. And that is assassination tactics. That is not police. That is not police procedures. And even American cops that are so notorious in using their weapons, in a situation like that, where the other person does not have a weapon, her hands are on the wheel, she's doing this, telling him something, let me go, whatever. Okay? That officer is seeing her hands on the wheel, and he chooses to discharge his weapon. So now he's a criminal. Now he's a criminal. Now he's going to have to justify his actions before a judge. I doubt that he will ever be charged unless they are not able to hide it. Because you see, these tactics that they are using, these are not police tactics. These are intimidation tactics. This is the same the I.C.E, the Stormtroopers, did to the Jews before the Nazi regime was completely established. Okay, they would parade around in their uniforms. Okay, no police officer would arrest them. No police officer would stop them because they could not. Just like the police officers in this case with these ICE agents. Okay, it's the same thing. And they would simply intimidate, and then it progressed for them to assassinate, okay, and commit rape, commit a series of crimes, okay. And that was about the time that a lot of Jewish people that were Germans, but they were Jewish, their religion was Jewish, they decided to leave the country. And, well, at least some were able to leave. But this is what they are doing. But they are doing it to all of the population. Okay? They are treating all of the Americans as a target. And if the Americans don't do anything about this, okay, if you don't establish some kind of rule of law, that I honestly don't know how you are going to do it. Excuse me. If you don't do it, you are going to find yourself in a situation that was much similar to what happened in other authoritarian regimes. Because you see, here in Portugal, we also had an authoritarian regime. And I know from the stories, from the time of my parents, my grandparents, okay, everyone told me about it, because I was born after it. Okay, I didn't live through those times. And what they told me was this: everything apparently was normal. You couldn't protest against the government, of course. You couldn't speak ill of the country, of the state, of course. But the police officers, when they were doing their normal job, like fining you for anything that you have done, or when you went to court for a common crime or whatever, it was absolutely normal. But there were situations in which the police officer stopped being a police officer and he became a tool. That was when the political police was doing their job. In those days it was called PID, which is basically International Police for the Defense of the State, something like that, okay, so that you understand. Secret services, okay? Imagine a mix between CIA, FBI, okay? That was what they were, okay? So, when they intervene, if they saw one of those agents doing something, like for example, entering in a cafe, and two of them usually pick up that citizen, and the citizen starts to complain, and they hit him and tell him to shut up, and they drag them into a car, that police officer would only look at them, and if he knew him, they would identify themselves and say, secret police or something, some shit like that. Move along. Clear up these people from this cafe. That was it. No testimony, no witnesses, nothing. No one would know anything outside of that group of people. It would not be in any news. Of course, media was strictly controlled. It was just talk in town. And it became so common that people got desensitized at it. And this was not even in this I'm going to get a lot of heat from Portuguese left wing, because when I say this, which is the truth, they often get mad at me. But frankly, I don't care. I only speak with the facts and what I know. It was very rare for them to assassinate someone. Okay, sometimes it happened. They would have an accidental death, but more than one occasion, what they did was they uh, morally morally reduce that would reduce that person to nothing. They would mess up their job. They would mess up their family life. They would blackmail them. They would deport them to the colonies. They would put him in jail and subject him to ill treatment. Okay, daily beatings, torture, a lot of things. So it was not funny. But seldom would they murder someone, because they knew assassinations were bad advertisement. But these people, the ones that you have, they are acting just like the Nazis did. And the Nazis first, it was all order and progress, okay, better roads, better jobs, vacations in the Madeira Island for the in Portugal, for the in cruise ships for the working class, for the poor people. Okay, there was food, there was traditional holidays. Everyone had a job, okay, and meanwhile they were reinforcing their police state. They were growing their army. Okay, the industries, the what the Americans should they call their oligarchs were profiting of the business of working for the state. Everything was fine and dandy. And then the boot hit them in the face. And in that moment, there was no one left to talk. And then they started to systematically do whatever they wanted. And in their case, it was to persecute, enslave, and assassinate ethnic minorities, social minorities like gay people, like the different confessions of Christianity that did not suit their purpose. Okay, gypsies, everyone that did not suit them all, they started to hunt down and destroy. They controlled systematically. They controlled the television. They had television, the Germans. Okay, they were the first. I think it was invented by a Scotsman, but I think seeing television in a more wide way, it was in Nazi Germany. Okay, they did all that we know in history books, and anyone that can see it can go and read it. You Americans, you are now in phase 2 of that plan. And then I go into Democrat sites like I was right now, and then I hear something very incredible saying Europe has done nothing for against the Russian shadow fleet. And every day here in little old Portugal, I hear about a Russian tanker being seized, a Russian tanker sinking, a Russian tanker in the shadow fleet pretending that it's from somewhere else, being seized, and the oil being confiscated. I see Russian assets being confiscated. I also see a lot of Russian opposition bloggers saying, "Oh, they don't want us normal Russians, but they take the money from the rich Russians that go on vacation in Europe." And then we go to see how they are vacationing in Europe, and we see a lot of them come with double passports. That some have passports of the EU. Okay, we see a lot of that, and yet I continue to listen to all of this. That seems to trying. I know what they are trying to do, but what they are doing is that they are undermining the efforts of a situation of people that are trying to deal with a situation that is very very complicated. Because you see, the EU, unlike the United States, doesn't bomb foreign nations. We try to do things in a legal way. And when I met the EU, I'm talking about France, I'm talking about Germany, talking about Spain, talking about Portugal, I'm talking about the Netherlands, I'm talking about everyone, and I'm also talking about the United Kingdom, okay, that's outside of the EU. I'm talking about everyone. Because we have a sense that if we don't do things legally, then we are going to be committing the same crimes that the other ones are doing. And this is the only way to counter these type of sayings, okay? Is to hit them with legality. And if you think this is not what's going to happen to the United States in the future, you are very wrong. Germany and France are going to send warships to Greenland. I'm absolutely sure that European troops are going to be deployed in Greenland. Denmark already has their troops in the ground too. Because you see, Greenland belongs to the people of Greenland. It doesn't belong to anyone else. Greenland is of the Greenland people. It's of their citizens. I don't care if there's one Greenlandic person sitting on a rock, or if there are 1 million of them sitting on a rock. It's their land. It's not the land of the United States, it's not the land of anyone. They are part of the Kingdom of Denmark, but they are a self-governing state. They have their own sovereignty, they have their own laws, they have their own way of life, and you need to respect them. And shut up about it. Why? Because every country deserves to be respected. So when a lot of people come into my videos and say, "Oh, you're supporting China," whatever, and they forget that whenever I talk about China, I also talk about what they are doing in Tibet, what they are doing to the Uyghur minorities. Okay, I know what China is doing. So please, don't waste your time trying to undermine arguments, trying to create arguments to counter what I am saying by coming into my chat or coming into the comment sections in my videos and talking that shit. You just shut up because you're wasting your time. Because I know exactly what I'm talking about and I'm trying to be factual. Okay? I know what I'm talking about because I go to research it first. And if I'm wrong, I'm the first one to admit it. Sometimes sayings might not get correctly spoken because, as you can see, English is not my first language. Okay, it's not. It's not even my second language. In this order, if you want to know, in this order, I started to learn Portuguese, German, practically at the same time. Okay, then French, then English. English is about the fourth. And after English, a lot of them came after, like Italian and Spanish, for example. These are the languages that I mostly dominate as a native, in the sense that I can speak and understand it fully, and I don't need anyone to translate anything to me. Okay? So, if you don't understand the concept that I'm speaking about, look at it in the context. And if you have a question, then ask it. Okay, but let's continue with this ICE thing. Now, you are allowing a border force to act as a militia inside of your country, doing the bidding of a president. So you have a president that is using a private police force to enforce his will. Because we see him losing in the courts, we see him losing in procedures, we see him breaking every law in the United States. Just a minute. Okay, we see him doing that all, and then Congress says no, but yet he does it. Okay, but little by little this erodes his authority. And right now, right now the new fear is he's going to install martial law so that there will be no votings, and yet the American Constitution and the American law says yes, there is voting during those times. And also there is voting during wartime. You want to know? Let me tell you this. Trump got that idea because when he was talking with Volodymyr Zelensky, when he was talking with him, Zelensky explained to him that in his constitution, like in the constitution of Portugal, for example, when we are at wartime, when the country is being invaded or is taking part in long-term war, there are no elections because you need to maintain the state apparatus intact and functioning at a 100%. Probably in Ukraine, from what I know, like it would happen here, for example, there the actions of the government are monitored by the parliament, and I think there are some elections for parliaments, but the parliament continues to monitor the actions of the government, meaning he does not have free reign in doing whatever he wants. He's not a king, he is not a supreme leader, he's a president in wartime. So he has a state council, and everything else, the civil institutions continue to work with the needed adaptations, of course. If you have a part of your country that is even under occupation by an invading foreign force, but it continues to exist. And Trump got that in his little mind, and maybe because he is indeed sick. Okay, I don't know if the man is sick or not. I'm not a doctor. What I can tell you is that he exhibits signs of dementia, of senility, of being senile. He exhibits those signs. But my friends, I'm not a doctor. Okay, medicine has got to be one of the things that I least know of. I know a couple of things, but I'm not a doctor. When I need a medical consultation, I go to a doctor, and that is how I do things. Okay, I don't self-medicate. I don't do any of that shit because I think it's stupid. Okay, and yes, I know all of the Eastern techniques of meditation and all of that. I know them all. Okay, I started to learn martial arts when I was 7 years old, so I know a bit about it. Okay, but let's continue. We're not here to discuss medicine. But the man does exhibit some signs that he's not well, okay? The disconnected speeches, the sudden pauses, the sudden attacks of irate attacks, okay? The sudden emotional shift. He goes from being stone cold faced to completely irate. Look, that is not normal. And don't tell me, oh, it's a part of his personality, it's part of his game. No, my friend, it's not. It's a symptom that something is not right. And look, and if he's not right, the first thing you need to do is get someone that is right, okay? And that will government following the Constitution. Because that is really what you have to do. But yet I continue to listen to these Democrats. Right now, a lot of Democrats in the United States, and not all of them, okay? Let me be absolutely clear. I just heard a Democrat, it's the guy from The Enemy from Within, and that guy, he never blames anyone. He never does it. Okay? He speaks things. He speaks facts. And some people seem to take his whimsical style as a sign of perhaps not being smart enough, but he is. He's smarter than a lot of folks that are wearing bows and ties, that are talking from the top of their castles, talking shit. Like I have heard another one talking about Europe. They don't know, most Democrats, as I was saying, don't have a faintest idea of what is happening in Europe. In Europe, in Canada, in Japan, in Korea. There are people inside of the apparatus of the state that are not on top, that are constantly warning them about it, but they don't give a shit. You right now, look, Right now, if for example there was a terror threat and Europe would warn the United States, I am not sure that they would go, that information would reach the top. It would be lost in the corridors of incompetence, because what the Americans have right now fundamentally is an extremely incompetent government. Okay, he replaced the good generals with sycophants. He carved up his own apparatus in the federal government. Okay, Doge and all of that. Okay, dismantling the education department. Okay, dismantling the healthcare system, the small healthcare system that they had. So you have this situation in which you have someone completely deconstructing the state. And now the citizens that allowed this situation to happen are feeling the heat and are feeling the issues related to it. Because, my friends, this is what happens when you let the government do whatever they want and you dissociate yourself from your responsibility as a citizen. The only person the Americans can blame for this entire situation, it's not Russia, it's not Putin, it's not China, it's not the Heritage Foundation, it's not no one, it's themselves. The Americans themselves have allowed themselves to be in this situation. In a situation where someone is murdered in their car on her way home, a mom. And again, I don't care what her sexual preferences or her sexual affiliation, if you want to talk about it, was. Do you think transgender people or gay people are aliens? Don't you think they sit in a toilet to take a shit like you do? Don't you think they need to eat and to drink to live? What are you? Are you some kind of idiot? If a person thinks this way, if a person tries to use that as a justification for someone to be murdered, then you are out of your fucking mind. Nothing justifies this. You don't like gay people, you don't like transgender people. My friend, do what I do when I don't want to associate myself with someone. I don't give a fuck. I care about myself. I care about the people that I love. I care about my friends. I care about my pets. I care about my country and the world. But I am not here to start these things, because this is ridiculous. What are you going to do? Okay? Are you going to force women to go back into the kitchen like in the 50s or some shit like that? Is that your magic solution for the entire problems of the world? Do you think there was not pedophilia, there was not murder, there was not rape in those days? Do you really think those things didn't exist? They have existed from always. The only thing you can do to protect yourself and your family is to have responsible people monitoring things, controlling things. Yet, Americans, you don't have safe streets, you don't have healthcare, you don't have security in housing and in jobs, your food is shit, it's full of chemicals that make you sick, and you are out here discussing what type of bathrooms transgender people should use. Look, and I'm talking to both sides, okay? Because when it comes to lunacy, all Americans are lunatics. At the level, they are not the only lunatics in the world, but when Americans do it, they go off. Because neither of the parts should be looking for trouble with each other. You just have to learn how to live with each other, for God's sakes. Who cares what another person does inside of their house as long as they are not breaking any law? Look, the funniest thing I ever saw was some guy complaining about a drag queen telling her kids stories. It was a woman telling the woman that complained. It was not the guy. It was a woman. Sorry. She was complaining about the drag queen telling history, telling history, telling stories to her kids in a library. A drag queen is just a man that uses women's clothes. It's a clown. It's like a clown, it's like an actor. Some of them are not even gay. Around here in Portugal, there's one that is extremely famous, and the man is not gay. He's married, he has kids, but he likes to dress up like a woman, and he makes a living out of it. But even if that person was gay, why would that matter? I would worry if that person was someone with a criminal record for, I don't know, pedophilia or something like that, okay? That would worry me, okay? That should worry you. But if it's a normal person, who cares if that person is a drag queen, a gay person, or transgender people? What is this transgender for everyone? Do you think any normal human being would voluntarily submit themselves to the violent change in their body and in their mind to assume the role of another sex, another gender, sorry? Do you think a normal woman or a normal man, normal in the sense of straight, of being perfectly happy with their bits and liking the bits of the other part, or liking them both? Sorry, a minute please. Very sorry. Do you think any person would submit themselves to that violence without a good reason for it? This is why, to me, those are things that have to be discussed by doctors, okay? I was very glad that around here, at least, that discussion is a discussion between that person and their doctor. The government, you want to know when the government intervenes? The government intervenes when that person transitions completely, and the government has said that then that person can assume in their papers, in their identification, in their passport, whatever, it appears there the sex, the gender that they assume, be it male, male to female, or female to male. Okay, that is the only thing the state does. As for bathrooms, well, it depends in the phase in which you are. Okay, and more than that, we are progressing to a system of unisex bathrooms. It's the best thing in the world, okay? And besides that, our bathrooms have decent stalls, okay, that actually close, because no one cares what you are doing inside of your bathroom. And then I hear Americans, oh, our bathrooms are that way for security reasons. Oh, fuck off. For security reasons. That was fine and dandy in the days that we didn't have fire alarms, that we didn't have ways of breaking into doors and other things. That is a completely medieval thinking, okay? Sometimes Americans, you know what you remind me of? You remind me of medieval peasants, okay? And a lot of you believe that the earth is flat. Yes, why not? And the hills are filled with pixies, for God's sakes. Fuck's sakes. Now, but they created this myth that now, apparently the lady that was shot, she was, I don't know, gay. She had as a kid, I think, and she lived with another woman. I am not even sure if that is correct. Okay? Because I don't want to explore the theme of that person, because out of respect, okay, out of respect, you have to respect that woman. You have to respect the intimacy of her and her family. She's not a pawn. She is not an object. She is not a number. She is not a statistic. She's a person. That was a person that, like you, that are now seeing me. Okay, I don't know where you are. You might be in the loo, like the English say, watching me on your cell phone, okay? You might be eating, you might be sitting down, I don't know. You might be watching my video anywhere. And you are a person, you are a human being. You have your needs, you have your desires, you have your pains, you have your issues, you have your worries. That person that died was just like you. That is the base. That is the base of being empathic with others. And as I said before, many times, out in the open, so to speak, in normal life, I'm a very cold person. I'm not an easy smile. I'm not an easy talk. But I have empathy for others. I understand, like Marcus Aurelius said, be kind to others because they are going through the same struggles that you are. And it surprises me a lot because a lot of Americans claim to be very Christian, and you don't act like one. You don't act like Christians. I know Christians. I know true Christians, okay? I was raised Catholic, like I have told you. I was raised Catholic and pagan German. But I was in the church. No one hurt me. I learned music in the church. I learned history. Okay? I learned, for example, it inspired me to learn how to speak and to read Latin, to read the inscriptions in monuments, because around here, okay, this was part of the Roman Empire, you can understand, okay? But it inspired me, it inspired me to visit monuments. It incentivized my drawing. Okay, some of the first things that I draw, I like to draw with charcoal, okay, black and white. That is how I like to draw. But it inspired. I'm not so much of a painter. I don't like it, to be honest. But it inspired me to draw. And some of the first things that I draw were churches, okay, and monuments, and all of that. So you have to find the good in things. And as for the bad in things, you have to try and remove it. And right now, what I am seeing is Christians all over America lining up with this guy that says, I'm very Christian. Oh, and I ended this. It was those liberals. It was transgender for everyone. Completely. I don't know how a normal, decent human being can sit by and watch these types of justifications for this murder. Okay, that woman, that Noem or whatever she is, with that hat that we could barely see her face, immediately attacking the person, immediately saying, without an investigation, without anything, with footage of what happened splattered all over the news, saying, oh, she tried to kill the ICE officers. Well, it's a bit hard. Well, what? She tried to hit him with the side of a car or something like that, because she was moving away. Because first they were telling her to move away, then they wanted to stop her, perhaps to detain her, like I saw them hitting and detaining kids at the local high school. What is this? Do you realize how ridiculous this is to someone that is sitting here in Europe and looking at this decaying empire? Not even an empire, okay? This is not. It's a decaying state. We are looking inside. We are seeing what is this shit. And then I hear the Democrats talking about as if we were also doing what they are doing, which is bloody nothing to stop this shit. Oh, we are going to impeach him. Okay. Are there any Democrats, for example, calling for an all-time strike against the government? to freeze the government complete, to freeze the state. I'm not talking about violence. Violence is what they are good at. I'm talking about simply freeze the state, boycott the state. Like the Canadians are doing, boycotting your products, closing breweries and distilleries all over the United States, and lumber business and construction businesses and all of that, all closing down. And yet farmers, and yet people smile and it's all good and it's normal. Oh, they are all the same, they are both the same. Yes, yes, they are both the same because you made them that way. They are both the same because you allow them. You. This is why the title of this video, what is happening in the USA right now, is the fault of the USA itself. More or less, this is how I'm going to call this video. This is why I'm calling this video in that. Because you can claim there are foreign influences in your country. Yes, there are. You can claim there is foreign money in your country. Yes, there is. But you cannot remove yourself from the blame of what is happening. No, you cannot. You can say to me, my voice wasn't strong enough to be heard, and I will accept that, okay? But collectively, the government is to blame. Collectively, my people are blamed for crimes that we committed. Collectively. So, you are collectively to blame for what is happening all over the world. You are collectively to blame for the end of USA aid and the starvation of people. You are collectively to blame for what is happening in Gaza. You are collectively to blame for the United States to support Russia instead of supporting Ukraine and the EU and Europe. So that you don't say the EU, Europe. It includes every country. You are collectively responsible for millions of American citizens not having health care, for the homeless, for the people with no job, for the people with no food. You are all to blame collectively for it. And until the day that you assume the responsibility for your actions, nothing is going to change. Nothing. You want to know why Europeans have rights, like you call them? Because we fight for them. Last year, I was on strike. I decided to go on strike. This year, they are negotiating. And we are telling them, we are not going to let this slip by. And things change. New laws are coming into place to control a lot of things in our country. Some of them we agree with them, others we don't agree with them, and we will contest the ones that we don't want to have, because this is how things work here. And I see Americans freaking out. Oh, the French government has fallen and this and that, and these Democrats, right when they started to talk about that, right then I was thinking to myself, these people have no idea how these things work in France. In France, like for example here in Portugal, if a government falls, do you think the state stops operating? Do you think the buses and the trains in the public office, the public function, the people that work for the state stop getting their pay or some shit like that? Do you think that? Because no, it's not like that. In France, just like in Portugal, the only thing that stops is, for example, the state purchasing large purchasing new contracts, okay, with for new public procurement contracts, okay. It has some limitations in the laws that it can issue, but other than that, the state continues to work. If a war happened while the state was in that situation, a solution would be immediate. There would be someone in charge, there would be someone obeying. And this is what people don't understand. We all in Europe function in a completely different way than in the United States. But don't worry. As time progresses, you in the United States, you are going to learn that. And I hope that you are at least able to regain some normalcy. Okay? If that guy tries to impose martial arts, sorry, God say martial art. Oh, somehow I don't see him as a martial arts guy. But my God, if that guy tries to impose martial law, you have to understand that he cannot do it. He cannot legally do it. He has to go through all of the channels. And if he tries to do it, then you are going to have to say something. And you are going to have to control your little dog in power. You are going to have to control it. Or else, what is going to happen is that one way or another, today, tomorrow, after he has done anything, the rest of the world is going to control him. And when the rest of the world intervenes to control him, then you are also going to hurt. You are already going to start to hurt. Because this is going to have influence in everything. This is going to have influences in your visas to Europe, for example, and to other parts of the world. This is going to have influence in the ability for Americans to live and work and study in Europe, for example. This is going to have influences in everything. It's not just the World Cup and the Olympic Games and all of that. It's not just that, okay? It's business in general. It's all of that. All of that is going to be touched negatively by this. With this shit that he's doing in Venezuela, oil prices are going to spike. People are going to lose money. Countries are going to lose money. And countries are going to be mad. And they are going to strike back, however they can. And if you think this is all talk, I will tell you this. Take a look at Japanese news. They have channels in English. Take a look at Australian news. Take a look at European news. And take a look at Canadian news. Just across the border. And see what is happening. And then come and talk with me. Alright? But again, the Americans only have themselves to blame for what is happening in their country. Your laziness, your inability to see things, and know, oh, they defunded education, they defunded this, they defunded that. Okay, that is a cause also, but the main cause is you, because any decent human being, when another one says, day one when I'm elected I'm going to be a dictator, a normal human being doesn't say, oh, he's just joking, oh, very nice, it's the art of the deal. No, a human being would say, I'm not going to vote in this guy. This guy wants to be a dictator. I'm not going to vote in him. My friends, like I always say, facts don't lie. Facts are absolute. They exist. They are there for you to see. If you don't believe in gravity, jump off the mountain and see if you will fly to the ether. Okay? or run all the way to the end of the world, take a picture and show it to me. There are things in this world that are absolutes, and that you can try to explain with science fiction, with religion, with whatever, but things are factual, they exist. If you get sick and you die, your body will rot. Okay, you won't walk around and talk. There are things that are factual. You get old and you die. Okay, you go into the sea, you don't know how to swim, you will drown. Don't you understand this? Is this so hard for you to understand? This is what I just talked about is an exaggeration, okay? But this is how you have to look at facts. You cannot deny them, okay? You cannot deny that this guy tried to overrun your capital once. That he tried to forge elections. That we are not even certain that he did not forge elections through his current term. I have not heard a peep about the investigations about that, because maybe they are already thrown under the rug, just like everything. And you see this thing with the Epstein files, unredacted. When they finally say this is the unredacted version, no one is going to trust in it, because no one can trust in them. Okay, they showed a picture of Bill Clinton, Diana Ross, I think, Michael Jackson, and two kids with their faces covered, claiming they were in an Epstein party. I have said this one because it's the best example that I can show you, and it was a picture of Bill Clinton and Diana Ross, I think, and Michael Jackson, with the kids. I don't know if they were the kids of Michael Jackson or Diana Ross, at a fundraiser party. This is what they show, and then they want the world, to trust in their research, to trust in their investigations, to trust in everything, in whatever they say. No, we don't trust. I don't trust a single word that comes out of the mouth of any American person in charge. I don't trust in any police investigation. I don't trust in any FBI investigation. I don't trust in the government of the United States. Because if you lied once, you can lie every time. I don't trust in you, okay? And I'm just saying this so that you understand the perspective of someone in the outside. So that you can understand the perspective of a Canadian, of a Mexican, of a European, even of a Chinese. Do you understand this? Do you understand how bad this is for future negotiations, for future deals? You may get an excellent president that does everything all right, but the trust, that is gone, okay? And look, and from what I'm seeing in terms of economic moves by the European Union, for example, by Canada, you are not going to recuperate that, okay? Just like the farmers did not recuperate the millionaire business with China, they didn't. Anyone that tells you that is fooling you. Just like we know that the AI bubble is bursting, just like the housing bubble is bursting, you are not going to recuperate that, okay? What I'm not afraid, but what I'm both curious and not wanting to know is how Americans will feel when, after they perhaps are able to resolve all of these issues, all of these problems, when they wake up in a world that is completely different of what they think it is. And I see the Democrats, and this is why I am so pissed at this, I see all of those people opposing the regime. That look, they are right in opposing them. Okay, they are right in calling them out. They are right about everything. But when they talk about the exterior of their little American bubble, they know nothing. Absolutely nothing. You can count them on the fingers of your hand. You can count, for example, this guy from The Enemy from Within, Josh. That guy, he has the common sense to understand this. In his style, whimsical, like I said, all that, but this guy, he understands it. But most of the of the YouTubers and all of the people that are talking about it, they don't know jack shit. I'm sorry, but they don't. Okay, they don't understand how these things work. They don't understand how the politics in Europe work. They don't understand. Look, they don't understand the simple fact. They don't understand that Europe's industry was hardwired to receive massive quantities of gas and oil from Russia. And that isn't something that you are able to get rid of in an instant. There are countries landlocked that are still receiving some gas and oil from Russia, and that now have been intimidated, not intimidated, how do you say, notified to end this by the end of the year, for example, and to find alternative sources. In order to do that, those countries have to work with their neighbors and work with the EU to find alternative sources to receive what they need. Because industries, because people need that energy. And it's very easy, for example, for two countries in the other side of Europe, like Portugal and Spain, that already source a lot of their energy from alternative sources, and that their gas and their oil comes from other places. Some was even coming from the United States, some is still coming from the United States, and from Nigeria, for example. It's very easy for us to, for example, in the case of Portugal, I think it was around 4% or 5% or something like that, to simply stop receiving it. But the liquefied gas, some of it, very little, but it was still dripping all the way here. So you have to understand these things. And when I see Democrats talking about, oh, they don't seize the shadow fleets, they're still buying this and that. What the fuck are you talking about? You are talking about things you have absolutely no idea of what you are talking about, for God's sake. Research things. Because after that, whatever comes out of your mouth, I start doubting it. I honestly start doubting it. Because if you cannot understand such a basic fact as this one, what is to tell me that you are not listening to some narrative about us in that sense? Because like I said, I read the news, I see the news, in this case, more see than read. I see the news in a lot of languages. German, mainly, just to make it clear, mainly, Portuguese, French, and German, and English. And that is not what I see. But, a minute. Sorry. This is continuing for a bit and I'm not very well. Well, folks, I'm going to end this video right now. I hope this has given you food for thought. I hope that you see my point, what I'm trying to say, that Americans only have themselves to blame for this. That when you start to blame others for your own shortcomings, you are always wrong. I often soul search myself, and see my issues. And Americans have to do the same. Well, this has gone for too long. My voice is already knackered, so I'm going to end this video right now. Sorry again for having to use this, but I'm not very well. And I hope to catch you all in the next one. And thank you very much for having listened to me. Thank you all that comment. It gives me strength to continue this work, to continue to talk about things, because I think it's essential for people to talk about things. It's essential for people to reflect on their own actions, for me to reflect on my actions, for you to reflect on your own actions. Because in the middle of the confusion, only those that want to hurt us profit. Remember that, Americans. Whoever is trying to spread confusion, trying to spread dissent amongst you, trying to impede you from seeing the crimes that this administration is committing, that officer, that agent did, they are working against you. Be decent. Have some common sense.